What is going on with Sun Devils basketball?
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks, as always, for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Wherever you get your podcast, hit like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. You can stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter. You can find me at RichieBrads36 and the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 moneyline bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time to talk some Sun Devils basketball. And a quick podcast update for you guys. We are going to have an episode tomorrow and Saturday to make up for the Tuesday and Wednesday absences due to sickness. Of course, allergies are amazing. So we will have 2 episodes tomorrow and Saturday. And then moving forward, to make sure that I talk about basketball once a week, we are going to at least do a Saturday episode just to kind of recap everything that's going on. It may be Sunday or whatever to comply with normally they have games on Thursday and Saturday, so probably looking at Sunday the more I think about it, but we will start having weekly basketball episodes on top of everything else that we have to make sure that we're staying up to date on all of that. Now then, let's go ahead and talk some hoops because this has been a very frustrating year. Not that we went into this assuming that it was going to be an easy year for Sun Devils basketball, but man, does it feel like there's been a lot of missed opportunities now for this team. There have been 2 incredibly frustrating losses for the Sun Devils this year. One of them was last night against last night against UCLA, 68-66, and the Sun Devils completely controlled that game for 30 minutes and then just absolutely blew it. Gave up 45 points in the second half. Doesn't help when you're playing against the refs, for sure. It was definitely 8-on-5 last night with the 4 technical fouls that were issued to Arizona State, ejecting Sean Phillips, Sean Phillips Jr. from the game because a ref got his feelings hurt. Like, it was a whole thing last night. And we'll talk about that a little bit, but this between this game and the San Diego game back in December, there have been 2 really big-time missed opportunities for the Sun Devils team. And it's very frustrating because you sit here and you don't necessarily play the what-if game, but you definitely sit here and you're like, why can't we finish these games? And I think that's where we're going to start our conversation is they're letting their foot off the gas right now when they are not playing a full 40 minutes. I mean, we've seen them capable of doing this. There have been some very good wins for the team this year. They had a good win against Utah. They had some really close wins against Stanford, against Cal, against Colorado. We've seen them be able to play good games. They took down Vanderbilt in convincing fashion. They took down Sam Houston in convincing fashion. There are quality wins here, not so much in terms of like quality opponents. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. Arizona State, to me, doesn't have that one signature win just yet. But when I say quality wins, what I mean is they went in to the game and they played really tough, gritty basketball and pulled out the win. There are quality wins here. But more often than not, it feels like the Sun Devils just kind of get too comfortable. And this isn't a team that should be getting comfortable. This is a team that needs to consistently be going full throttle right now. That's where it becomes so frustrating as you sit there and you're like, why isn't this team just finishing off who they're playing against? And there have been no shortage of quality performances this year. I will tell you now that Adam Miller is back in the folds for this team. Arizona State's offense has been that much better. It feels like the explosiveness is there because you have a guy that's a threat at the line, inside, near the paint, beyond the arc. Like Adam Miller is somebody that's really opened up the floor for you. He's shooting 36% from three, which I know isn't amazing, but it's still quite a bit better than the rest of the guys. He's 37.6% from the field, which I think is pretty skewed from a couple of bad performances because more often than not, he's a splash guy and he makes those big plays. 13.3 points per game through 8 games. He's one of your more consistent scorers for the team. And I really like what Adam Miller has brought to you. Frankie Collins, man, he's taken off this year. I kind of issued a challenge before the start of the year of hoping that Frankie Collins could take that next step forward, and he definitely has in every aspect, man. 13.8 points per game leads the team, 44.9% from the field. Outstanding. 5 rebounds a game, almost 3 assists, or not assists, 3 steals per game, 3.5 assists per game. Like he's doing it in every single phase of the game besides the free throw shooting where he's 61.0%. Like this team is just not shooting well on the line, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But right now, between Collins and Miller, I feel like they're giving you the most here. But it feels like this team is just not finishing games right now. They let their foot off the gas, and those 2 losses I mentioned against UCLA last night and against San Diego back in December, I mean, they allowed over 45 points in both of those games in the second half. San Diego had 48. Last night, UCLA had 45. Like, you cannot allow that to happen because you leave the door open and these teams crawl back in. In that ASU UCLA game, they had a 15-point lead at one point in time. In the San Diego game, they had, I want to say at one point, they had a double-digit lead over the Toreros. Like, it's so frustrating. What are you doing that you're allowing these teams to get back into games? You got to be able to close the door. Because right now I look at this Sun Devils team and I really question their ability to end up winning closer games. Like we've seen it with Stanford, Cal, and Colorado that they were able to pull it out. But those are not the best teams in the league. Like you still have to play Oregon and you have to travel to play Oregon. You still got to play Arizona twice. You got to play Colorado one more time. Colorado's been a quality team this year. There are some really rock solid teams in the conference this year, and you need to be able to find a way to play that full 40 minutes and pull off those wins. Because when you're not doing it, you're not gonna find yourself dancing in March. This is a team that right now is nowhere close to being a March Madness team. And those are the expectations that we have for Arizona State, is we want to be able to go dancing. We're not saying we want Sweet 16 berths. We're not saying national championship, but we want to go to March Madness. We want to make it to the bracket. That should be a fair expectation for a Power 5, Power 6 conference right now, for a team that recruits as well as it does, for a team that has brought in as many impact transfers as they had. Adam Miller, Jose Perez, Sean Phillips Jr. They are a team that's built off of quality guys that they've brought in through the transfer portal. And then you've seen Jemiah Neal take a step forward. You've seen Frankie Collins take a step forward. There are no shortage of players that should be able to win you a lot of basketball games, especially, in their non-conference slate. I feel like they should have done much better than they did, but neither here nor there. Bottom line here, they got to be able to figure some stuff out, man, because right now they are not closing out these games. And even when they're off to hot starts, like last night, I texted my family. I was like, you guys got to watch this Sun Devils game. Like, this is actually a fun game to watch. They're shooting great from deep and they're playing good defense, which they do every single game. Like, this was a game that you were like, they're going to run UCLA off the court. And I let them know, like, hey, you got to tune in. This is a really fun game right now. And guess what? They absolutely wet the bed in the second half. It feels like a common theme this year. It can't happen. You need to be able to play these games for the entirety of what they have. And they are not doing it right now. Sun Devils got a lot to figure out as to how they start closing out these games. We're going to talk about more in a moment about why they are just struggling to capitalize on those second chances that they're getting, which really could make a big time difference in the way that they finish these games. We're going to talk about it here in just a second. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Passion, drive, patience. It's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Also want to talk to you guys about our friends over at LinkedIn. It's the new year, you guys, and every small business owner is asking themselves the same question. What's the one move I can make that'll take my business to the next level in 2024? LinkedIn Jobs knows that success all depends on the team you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy too when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. As you know, as a small business owner, having that right team member is going to be able to be transcending for your team. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and they might not have time or resources to hire. And thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks, as always, for tuning in to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast. But I also encourage you guys to check out the Locked On Sports Today YouTube 24/7 streaming channel. It's the first ever of its kind. They're going to keep you up to date with all the biggest stories in the sports world. There is nothing like it. It's all the national leagues, it's all the college, everything. Check it out. You won't regret it. Hit subscribe. Have something to listen to 24/7, 365. Back into our conversation about Sun Devils hoops. We're going to go ahead and take it to the next level and talk about struggling to capitalize on their second chances. Oh my goodness. This has been the overall theme of the year. I know that playing the full 40 minutes has been so frustrating, but I really can't think of anything that has been more infuriating to watch on this team than the free throw percentage and the rebounding. I look at this team, and this is the biggest reason why they're letting teams back into these games, is because they're not capitalizing on these opportunities. We'll start with the free throwing, because this isn't something that I'm bringing up for the first time. This is something that has routinely been one of the areas that they have struggled with the most. I look at this team and I wonder why they have not been able to take that next step forward. We'll talk about a guy who is no stranger to getting to the line, and that's Jose Perez. He's getting to the line on an average of 6.6 times per game. However, he is converting 4.4 of them for a nice flat 67%. for a player of Jose Perez's caliber, because he's a very good player, he is one of the more reliable shooters on this team. He's shooting 42.5% from the field. He's shooting 47.6% from deep. And real quick, why is Jose not shooting more from deep, man? He knows what he's doing. Like, I wish that Jose Perez was taking more shots from beyond the arc, because when he does, like, it feels like more often than not, he's doing something with it. Got to start getting those opportunities, man. But the biggest issue is converting on the stripe. Like, you can't get to the line as many times as he does and just not capitalize on those opportunities. I'm not saying you need to shoot 90%, but you need to shoot significantly better than 67. So much of his game is prided on drawing fouls. Like, he drives the lane, and he's somebody that can put up those tough shots, because, man, does he make some good tough shots. Like, I feel like I watch Jose Perez every single game, and it's just like he makes plays consistently. He's going up, and he's not afraid to absorb contact and do what he's got to do to be able to capitalize. But then he doesn't capitalize. 67% from the line, man. You can't do that. You got to be better than that, especially when you're one of the guys who gets to the line more than anybody else on this team. And I mean, it's not just him that's struggling on the line. Jemiah Neal shooting 66.7% from the line. Frankie Collins, I mentioned, is 61% from the line. Alonzo Gaffney is 58.8% from the line. Sean Phillips, 52.9%. When you have, what's his name? Kamari Lansgate on there, 71%, which unfortunately you have to take and run with how abysmal they've been. That's a team 63.5%. What are we doing? That absolutely cannot happen. I don't care if you're getting to the line 5 times a game or 20 times a game. You need to be shooting better than 60%. Significantly better. Dude, if we were shooting 73.5%, you're talking about capitalizing on a couple more wins here. You beat UCLA. You beat San Diego. You're going to be in more games, but alas, they're not doing it. And that's just absolutely killer for this team right now. And then the other thing that's so frustrating is the rebounding. Frankie Collins is not afraid to go up. 5.1 rebounds leads the team. No, it doesn't. Jemiah Neal leads the team with 5.5. Between those two, they are guards. And Jemiah is more of like a guard forward kind of transition guy at 6'6", 185. But, I mean, Frankie Collins is not a big guy at all at 6'1", 185. But yet, he's not afraid to go up and play physical style basketball. So I wonder where everybody else is. And I know that Sean Phillips has been banged up throughout the year. He's played 9 games, but he's only averaging 3.7, and he's your big man. You need Sean Phillips to be the guy who goes up and gets it. We were hoping that he would be your Warren Washington this year, and he's not been that. And that's one of the reasons why they're losing these games, is they give opposing teams way too many offensive rebounds, which leads to second, third, fourth, fifth chances. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. They get way too many opportunities to continue trying to get points because ASU is not playing a physical style of basketball. And it doesn't make sense to me because of how quality they are on defense. Because, man, are they a stingy defense? Like, they are not afraid to get in your face and do what they got to do. It's beyond me how they have struggled this much to be able to capitalize on those opportunities and to be a team that is out physical guys. And I think another problem with that is the small ball that you're playing. You're starting 4 guards on a consistent basis with Collins, Miller, Perez, Neal. You have Gaffney as one of your forwards, but Gaffney in himself is just a very frustrating player. It's going to happen when you play that small ball. But nonetheless, you need to find guys that are going to be more aggressive with the ball coming off the glass. You cannot be a team that's giving up that many opportunities, because it comes back to bite you. That happened against San Diego. That happened against UCLA. That happened in a lot of really close games for Arizona State. They get out rebounded, and the offensive rebounds is what absolutely kills you. You are giving way too many extra opportunities for these opposing teams to be able to get what they need. Cannot let it happen. I would tell you that's been the overall storyline of the Sun Devils this year, is their inability to capitalize on free throw attempts and on the rebounding. It's not the first time I've brought it up. Hopefully it's the last time I bring it up, but I don't think that's going to be the case. What I do know is that there's a lot of things that need to be corrected for the Sun Devils to get back on track to be able to close out the 2023-24 season on a strong note, and to be able to hopefully go dancing in March. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The NFL regular season is all done, but the playoffs are here, and there's more action to get in on with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is easy to use, and there's a variety of different ways to bet on. There's those live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explore tab, and you can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and so many more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. I want you guys to check out the Locked On Sports Today, the Locked On Sports Today YouTube channel. It's 24/7. There's never been anything like it. They're going to keep you up to date on everything that's going on in the sports world. Professional, college, baseball, hockey, football, basketball, they got you covered. So check it out. It's 24/7. You're never going to have a lull when you're eating your food and you want to put your YouTube on and you want to know something that's going on with sports. Do it with Locked On Sports Today. Let's go ahead and wrap up our conversation with where do you go from here? Because, like I said, you are nowhere near being a tournament team right now. You are so far behind the eight ball. And I totally understand that Arizona State is 10-7 and they're 4-2 in conference play and they're tied for second place in the conference. I get it. But that's just not good enough. Last night I was watching the Pac-12 streamer, whatever you want to call it, the channel where they were showing the game. And they were saying that right now the Pac-12 has 3 teams that feel like tournament teams. They highlighted Oregon, Arizona, and I believe Colorado, although I don't remember who it was. It might have been, no, I'm 80% positive it was Colorado. But guess who wasn't in there? Arizona State. And why isn't Arizona State in there? Because they are a middle of the pack team at best. There have been way too many frustrating losses for this team this year. We've highlighted 2 of them. I feel like they should have been able to beat Washington. In fact, that was another game that it was just so close at halftime, and then they gave up almost 50 points in the second half. Like, these are games you need to be able to win. They got their butt kicked by Northwestern. I feel like in a game against TCU, you would imagine that's a revenge game, and they didn't come out and play to their full level and capacity. Got to figure out what to do, because right now they are just not doing a good enough job. And when you are not capitalizing on those opportunities, when you're not winning the games that you need to win, you're on the outside looking in. And like, again, to very much emphasize this point, they are nowhere near a tournament team right now. They need to go on an absolute tear to end the year. And it's not going to be easy. You got to go up against Stanford again. You got to go up against Colorado and Utah again. You got 2 games against Arizona. You have to travel to face Oregon. You got a rematch with UCLA. USC has been really interesting. You host them tomorrow night. Hopefully you can make the most of that opportunity because they got a couple of guys that are going to be playing in the NBA with Boogie Ellis, and they obviously have Bronny James, although he's yet to really take off. But there are still some very tough games on this schedule. And you're 4-2 in conference play right now, and that's fine. That's a good start. But you've dropped your last 2 games. You have not good losses on your schedule. To be able to get yourself to March, you got to start stringing off some impressive wins, especially because more often than not, you need a signature win. Right now, I don't see one. I don't foresee one either. Like if you upset Oregon in Eugene, that's your big one. If you can split your series against Arizona, that's huge too. If you're able to sweep USC or sweep Colorado, that's also going to help. But man, does this feel like a tall task? And there's a lot of really tough road games here, man. In fact, you're closing out your year on the road. It's going to be anything but easy for the Sun Devils to end the season. And hopefully they're going to be able to find a way to really string together some important wins. Because right now, I don't know, man. This just feels like outside looking in at best. Hopefully they're able to fix those things. But this has been what we've talked about all year. We are now, how many games are we in? We're 17 games in. So we're halfway through the year. This team is pretty much who they are at this point. You're hoping that maybe something clicks. And this team has definitely gotten better throughout the year, building that chemistry with so many transfers that are coming in and so many guys that left. Like you can definitely see that they're starting to play better basketball together, but you got to be able to capitalize on the things that you've struggled with all year. The rebounding, the free throws, it's killed you all year. If they can find a way to get those better, and that's a big if, maybe they can turn this thing around. But right now, it feels like a season that is just going to be another very frustrating one in the Bobby Hurley era. Here's hoping they can get it figured out, because right now, where we're going from here, we're not a tournament team. And you're already looking at the 2024-25 season. And there's going to be people speculating about Bobby Hurley, whether or not he should be fired or not. As of right now, I'm still not ready to throw him in the can. There's time for that to change, especially if they just continue to lose games. But I'm not ready to give up on Bobby Hurley as of January 18th, 2024. That is absolutely subject to change. They got to figure it out, though. That's where we stand with basketball. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and checking out the Hoops podcast. I know that the football ones typically drive in more conversation, but I appreciate you guys for checking out the basketball. Like I said, the more I look at it, we're definitely going to be looking at Sunday podcasts because we have games typically on Thursdays and Saturdays. So look for the extra episodes on Sunday that are going to recap the basketball games and then just see where we go from there. We will be doing plenty of football stuff. Don't worry. If any big basketball stuff comes up, don't worry. We'll be covering it. So wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. You can stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter. You can find me at Richie Bradshaw36, the podcast as well, at LO_Sun Devils. Again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Apologies for missing Tuesday, Wednesday. Again, was kind of out on the couch being sick with allergies. We will be back for the next 2 days. Tomorrow will be the strengths of the football team heading into, before spring ball. We got a couple of months. So as of now, the biggest strengths on the team, and Saturday will be the biggest areas of concern. You can call it weaknesses if you want. So we'll be back to discuss all of those. I'll see you then. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.